if you complete pharmacy school and you want a car immediately after completion, the best thing to do is to go into pharma marketing.
Earning so much, so it depends. But if we are talking about entry level, then pharma marketing is more than.
Welcome, Dr. Leslie Akplah. I'm very glad to have you on the show today, and I know that my audience are going to get a lot of value from this particular interview. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you, Obed. And I think it's a privilege to be on this platform because arguably this is one of the loudest voices for the pharmacists and the pharmacy students in the whole of the nation, and to be on it is a big privilege. So thank you for having me, and I hope we have a very interesting discussion that will benefit not just us, but your cherished viewers as well. Yeah, so thank you.
Welcome. So for the purpose of those who do not know, the whole Kwesi Akplah, a Facebook celebrity for that matter, for the purpose of those who do not know you, I want you to briefly introduce yourself so that they will also come to know you.
You should have brought in the Facebook page.
I see.
But yeah, I'm an avid social media user, especially of Facebook, and I'm quite known there for humor and social commentary. But professionally, I'm a pharmacist. I was part of the very first Doctor of Pharmacy batch in Ghana, and I work with a multinational pharmaceutical company now as a pharmaceutical rep. So yes, that is a brief introduction of myself. I don't know if there is anything I left out.
Okay, even if there is anything you left out, I'm sure through the interview they will come off one by one, so we can.
Yeah.
But the reason why I mentioned the Facebook one is that I actually take a lot of inspiration from your post out there, so I had to mention it so that at least all the other people who do not know you would go and check you out on Facebook. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So the first thing you mentioned that you are a pharmaceutical rep for a multinational pharmaceutical company. Now, I want to know when we say a pharmaceutical rep, who is a pharmaceutical rep?
Okay, so in simple terms, when drugs are made by the pharma companies, right? These pharma companies are in so many countries. Well, there are two types of pharma companies, the local ones and then the multinationals. Okay. The multinationals are in so many countries, and even the local ones are in so many territories, even within the same country. Okay. So each of these types of companies would need professionals on the ground to make sure that the drugs are being more or less marketed to the stakeholders that matter. So to the doctors, if you have a drug, you have to make sure that the doctors know about it. You have to make sure that pharmacists know about it, nurses know about it. The stakeholders that matter should know about the drug, and then aside the fact that that is how you are going to drive growth for the brand in the given country or territory, that is also how you make sure that the patients who actually need the drugs are getting it. And to me, that is an even more important aspect of pharmaceutical marketing, because if you have a good drug and the people who need it are not getting it, It's a bit problematic. So, in short, that is what the pharmaceutical rep does. Yeah.
That's quite interesting. So,
Yeah.
in other words, you are saying that you are responsible for informing the prescribers and the pharmacists and nurses about a particular product. And
Yes.
does that mean your work does not involve a direct communication with patients, or the direct relationship with patients is not there? You work rather with the others who would communicate with the patients. Is that the case?
Yes, that is the case. And the reason for that is simple. In fact, for in Ghana, for example, you can't just get up and advertise your drugs on air or on any media of your choice.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is to protect the consumer, the general public.
Okay.
Imagine if any company at all could just get up and start marketing their drugs to the public. Then who is making sure that the information being given out is one, accurate, and is also and it's also what is also making sure that the people who actually get it actually need it. So we deal with the the medical professionals, the healthcare professionals,
Okay.
who we trust to make informed decisions for the patient. So we don't deal directly with patients. Yes.
Okay. So in that state, can I say that you people are the teachers of our doctors? If you are teaching
It's
them to come
funny.
and give us the medicine, then you are teachers.
it's
Oh, nice,
it's
nice,
funny
nice.
because sometimes you meet a doctor who seems to know more about your products than even
Wow.
you do.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's arguable. But then also you come across people who don't know about the medicine, the
Okay.
treatment, the guidelines.
Okay.
You know, it's not just about pushing your product, but also making sure that generally the best way for managing patients with the condition that your product handles, the
Okay.
best way is known to the people who matter. So yes.
Okay. Thank you for the information. So, personally, why did you choose to get a career in pharmaceutical repping?
Okay, so let me make a statement. Pharmaceutical repping is often not an end in itself for most people.
I
If you
see.
look at the career, yeah, if you look at the career paths of those who are country managers for
Mm-hmm.
the big companies now, in fact, along the way, some even divert into other aspects of the pharma
Pharmaceutical repping.
business. You know,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say pharma marketing is a career that I've chosen. I look to grow within the pharmaceutical space.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and yeah, being a rep exposes you to so many people. You get to build your network because
Yeah.
we are working with, if you visit one hospital, you see so many doctors, you see the
Oh, okay.
pharmacists,
Okay.
you see the procurement professionals, you see sometimes even the medical director of the entire hospital. And you work with all these people. And so at the end of the day, you are building connections and important links that you
Okay.
can fall on in the future for so many other purposes. If you become a manager, you still need all these people. If you want to divert and go into your own business, you still need all these people.
Yeah.
If you want to go into research later in your
Mm-hmm.
career, you still need all these people. So for me, the versatility of the role
Okay.
is what
Okay.
appeals to me the most, and the fact that you have to push yourself a lot because it's a very challenging job, and if you do it well, you reap the benefits now and even later. So yes, that's what informed my choice of pharma marketing.
Wow, wow, wow. Yeah. I have never actually thought about it in this way. Wow.
Okay.
So there is a saying that your network determines your net worth. So the way you've put it right now is making me rethink the whole pharmaceutical repping thing, because at least now you know people from here, people from there, unlike those of us who are stationed in a hospital, we are meeting only the people in that particular hospital. But you are currently building a very strong network, and a very huge one for that matter. That is very, very interesting. Okay, so now that you are in the field, I know that there are a lot of skills that you would need to succeed in this particular field. In school, back in KNUST, I know as a pharmacy student, presentations, you can't run away from it. Right from the first year, you are going to do a lot of presentations, and your work actually involves a lot of these presentations as well. As the ones that I've met so far, they usually come around to do presentations. So the question I want to put out to you is that, did your training in school during the 6 years, did it adequately prepare you for the career that you are in right now?
That's a very interesting question, because if you ask me, school never completely prepares you for life. I mean, to a large extent, you pick up a number of skills along the way, but it is when you are thrown out there and you are thrown into the water that you now try to find your level and then try to swim. In school, you are, as you mentioned, right, the presentation skills, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to pharma marketing, the skills that matter the most, I don't think school teaches you, right?
Wow.
You can on your own venture into things whilst in school. That will help you build some of those traits. For example, confidence, right? Not everybody is confident in public speaking and even in speaking to another professional, but you need that confidence if you are to succeed, not just in pharma marketing, but in so many other professional roles as a pharmacist. Then also, school teaches you to plan, right? But then again, it depends on you yourself. In school, is a big joke that we tell ourselves sometimes, but if we give an assignment to a student and you make the deadline 30th December,
they'll finish on the 30th.
They'll finish on the 30th.
That's true.
So you see, it's now more about you as an individual and your desire to build yourself in many aspects. You know, so confidence, presentation skills, public speaking, negotiation. I mean, whilst we were in school, I was part of committees. I was the editorial board chair for the 2015-2016 year group. And, you know, those kind of leadership positions can give you a taste of life after school, you know, because you don't finish before you want to start experiencing some of these dynamics, you know. So I think that it depends on the individual. There are mates of mine who were in pharma marketing at least part-time, even whilst they were in school. And so it brings me back to the point that it depends on you yourself, and you have to be deliberate about the skill, about developing these skills.
So does that apply to only the people who are looking forward to venturing the pharma marketing business, or any other pharmacy student who is aspiring for any other pharmacy career?
Yes, exactly. So there are many of these skills that are general, right? For example, IT skills, whether you are a pharmacist in the hospital or in the community or academia, you need IT skills. But if, say, you want to become a researcher or an academic, you might as well pick up data analysis skills as well, which probably another field you might not need it so much. For example, skills in SPSS analysis, skills in Stata, R, probably Python, all those things are skills that you can learn, right? So I think that there are you have to know where your interest lies, and then you research and then find out where you want to go and what you need to succeed in that area. Yes. So as an example, if you want to go into pharma marketing, you might want to work on your confidence and your public speaking skills, which the community pharmacist might not need too much. I'm not saying it won't be necessary, but might not need too much. And your interpersonal skills also come to play if you are in a career that you deal more with people. For example, community pharmacy, hospital pharmacy, or pharma marketing. But if you are into research, you might not need it so much. Of course, you are collaborating with other
researchers.
Exactly. So you need that to an extent. But I'm talking about the degree. Yeah. So I think it behoves on the individual to know where their interest lies and what they will need to succeed in that area. Yeah.
That's some great advice. So what I pick from this particular advice is that even though school would teach us certain skills or equip us with the necessary knowledge, there are particular skills that we have to individually focus on. And from what the examples you gave, most of them happen to be soft skills. And it's unfortunate that school does not teach us soft skills. So most of the students out there have to train themselves in these various soft skills. So just before we continue, I remember, I don't remember the exact year, but the time you had a certain engagement, you went to speak at, I think it was about book writing somewhere in Accra. Yes, I remember seeing that post some years back, and I was really inspired. So as I said, I didn't just mention your Facebook page for fun. Like, I actually got value from there, and you have all these things that I'm doing currently. I may say that some inspiration was from me seeing what you were doing, and at least just as you were saying, you built some of these skills when you were in school, and I've learned from seeing the things that you were doing. And currently, I also can say that at least I have some of these soft skills, and that is why we are even here today. But let me put this question. Were you conscious of the fact that you were going to get into pharma marketing? That is why you were trying to build those skills, or you were just doing it for doing sake?
That's a really good question. I didn't see it coming. So all along, I knew that I wasn't too interested in hospital pharmacy and community pharmacy.
I see.
Yes. I was leaning more towards pharma marketing and then research, right? And in fact, my long-term career goal is to make sure that Ghana is able to boast of more high-level research.
Wow.
Because you agree with me that even in school, if you are developing a presentation on a condition, it is very difficult to get data that is local.
Yes.
So you start by saying, in the UK in 2015, this
That
was
is
the
true. Epidemiological data is always from the US or the UK.
Exactly. And I think that's a big problem.
Okay.
So long term, that is the kind of thing I want to be doing. And I'm also interested in the pharma space,
Okay.
So I remember as far back as first year, I was on the media committee, and we were the ones going on radio together with peeps like Pepra, Mohammed, or Benissa, those were my blood niggas.
Hi.
And we did a lot, even though we didn't know much as at then, but the interest and the confidence was clearly there. So second year, third year, I was part of the drug safety team, the advanced team that was going to seek sponsorship. I was assistant team lead in second year, then team lead in third year. So all those were things that I did to build myself personally. Even if I wanted, or even if I had the opportunity to do something else that maybe I wasn't planning for, these are skills that I'll then have built up, and then I can transfer them to whichever area I want to practice in. So my interests were in pharma marketing and research, but the kind of personal development that I engaged in was more of transferable anywhere that eventually landed. So yes, that's how it went.
Okay. It makes sense so much. So in fact, if you said that at least you had something in mind that you wanted to venture into, but for any other person out there who does not have such in mind, you are also saying that all these personal development stuff can be transferred. So no matter where you end up being, once you are able to build yourself throughout the training period, you'll be able to survive with the skills that you have. And that is some great advice. Okay, so the part that a lot of the audience love to hear is the money aspect. So we want to delve into that. How lucrative is pharma repping?
What I would say is that it is arguably more challenging than the other arms of pharmacy,
I see.
because you are traveling a lot. It involves a lot of travel. About 50% of your time you'll be traveling. Traveling, not like moving from one city to the other, but moving around,
Okay.
Driving. Sometimes you travel to different cities, but it's all included in the traveling. So 50 to 70% of your time is spent traveling. The risk that all that comes with. Then you are engaged in so many things at the same time, coordinating this at this place, trying to complete this report, trying to finish up paperwork for this meeting, studying, and it involves a lot. So it makes sense that it pays. I think it pays more than the other sectors. But then again, also that's a general statement, because you find private hospitals that pays so
Okay.
much
Okay.
compared to the rep, you know. And then even after a number of years of work, there are some public hospital pharmacists who will be earning so much, you know. So it depends. But if we are talking about entry level, then pharma marketing pays more than say community or hospital. Yeah.
I don't have facts to argue over here, but at least one thing I've heard is that if you complete what pharmacy school and you want a car immediately after completion, the best thing to do is to go into pharma marketing, because once you get there, you're going to get a car. Is that true anyway? Is it true?
So it depends on which company you find yourself in. The multinationals do that very easily, but the local companies, not all of them are that generous with equipping you with a vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes you have to be using, maybe you have a driver, you know, for the local companies. You probably have a driver with the car, and so it's not you controlling where you go to. If the driver has a delivery to make somewhere, that means that you have to adjust your, how do you call it, your schedule, you know. But for the ethical companies, it's a bit different, because they give you a vehicle to use. And I know for most young people, that is a big motivation. But
yes.
It's not, I mean, it's significant, but once you get into it, you realize that, the work is more than just cruising in your ride. It's very comfortable, and yeah, it makes the work quite easy and manageable, but it goes way beyond that. Yeah.
Okay. And with the kind of workers that these pharma marketing companies pick, I realize that at certain points in time, we have people who do not have any sort of pharmacy background. And the question here is that is that space available to recruit lots of pharmacists, or is restricted in any way? Because once I met a rep who is basically a business student or a business graduate, and he's repping because he's actually preaching about particular products. So he could have spent some weeks just studying that and preaching it out there. Do they have space for pharmacists? Since now our numbers are increasing, and some of us, not me in particular, but some people have already started complaining about the possibility of not getting jobs in the near future.
So yeah, right. The numbers are going up, but it doesn't seem the job numbers are also going up. So very soon in the future, there will be that kind of strong disparity. And when you look at the role of the pharmacist as a rep, it's not just about talking about the drug. Okay. When a doctor gives you feedback about the drug, or what we call objections, reasons why they don't want your product, or they are not comfortable using your product, or probably they use it and then something happened, then you realize that it's not just about you communicating, but you getting that feedback and then trying to handle that objection. If you don't have a background in pharmacy, that would be very difficult for you to do, because it can get very technical, trust me. And even pharmacists don't get it easy at all. How much more you that does not have a background in pharmacy? And most of the companies that employ people who don't have good knowledge in the biological or health sciences is because they want to cut costs.
Yes.
Yes, they want to cut costs. But in the long run, the question is, who is it affecting negatively? It's affecting the company that's trying to cut costs, and it's affecting the patient, and then it's affecting you, the individual yourself, because when there are issues that need to be handled, discussed, and it's not done right, if there is information and you give the wrong information to the prescriber, it's the patient who suffers for it. If the prescriber does it and then the patient suffers, in the end, it is the image of the company that suffers for it, you know. So one way or the other, it comes back to bite those who think they are cutting costs, and it's not advisable.
That's good to hear. Okay, we hope that the companies out there see the need to employ pharmacists to do their due diligence. And as I said, the numbers are increasing as the day goes by. So if we used to have a numbers problem, and that was why some of them were picking all these other people, now we are getting a lot of numbers. So I hope that some of them will hear this sort of message and bring in more pharmacists. Anyway, let's go back to school, time in school. So now the pharmacy students who are watching, you were actually one of the very best students in your class. And I remember I think I was in first year then, there was this, was it Pharmaceutical Chemistry Awards? Yes, I think so. That was when that was the first time I heard about you, I guess. Yes. Then I decided that, oh wow, if this guy is able to put together this thing, and I started following you, I realized that you were doing so many things combined with the academics, and you were still succeeding as a student. Only for me to hear that you were even one of the top students in the class. So now for our students who are watching you now, what three things made you successful back in school?
I think that doing what you have to do is the first thing. You know that you need to study, right? The temptation is to shelve whatever you need to study till exams or midterm exams is close, and that affects you. I tried to learn regularly, consistently, because that reduces the pressure on you when exams is close. And I will admit that it's not easy. It's not easy at all, because there are so many distractions, so many other things that you could be doing. You could just be sleeping and waiting for a week or two to exams, and you power yourself, but you calm everything, but you feel the difference. And the funny thing is, when you do that, right after the exam, you promise yourself, hey, I'm not doing this again. They come more. They come more.
Sally. New Year's resolution.
New Year's resolutions. 2 weeks into it, you say, oh, Master, this be what we did do since SHS, we go do our. And I think another thing that helped me a lot was group studies. Because you are a group of people, and then you hold each other accountable, right? So every week you have something you want to discuss as a group, which means that you yourself, you have to read on it so that
Yes.
when you go for the group studies, you can share something, and you also get to learn from other people's perspectives on, and you find that after studying something as a group, it is easy for you to remember it and easy for you to revise. Yeah. So that was one other thing that helped me a lot. So I think those would be the two top pointers. Do what you have to do, and then hold yourself accountable to someone. Join a study group, form a study group. My study group was very instrumental in my success. Yeah.
Wow. So with the bit of study group, I also have my share of experience with it. And as you said, once you learn in a group, it's easy to remember. I remember times when I'll be sitting behind a paper and I'm like, this person said this during the study group. Yeah, so this is the answer. It really helps. One other thing about you, with your colleagues, at least I was able to see some of them library, several hours, spending several hours in the library. But Dr. Leslie Akplah, where are you? You are never found studying nowhere around the
Are you
faculty.
sure?
Oh
Are you
yes,
sure?
like at least from my observation. So this is a question that I am personally asking you. I actually never saw you studying. If I would see you around faculty is after class, maybe you are with the boys, Alfred and co. You are sitting down, chatting, not really having a book. No, I never met you having a book studying. Even exams week, there was not a single time that I met you studying that I'll say, oh yeah, today I saw Leslie studying. So what's the secret? How were you doing it? Because all your other colleagues, at least those who compare to you in terms of academic performance in the faculty, you will always see them there studying. What was the secret?
I used to visit the study room, right? I used to visit the study room,
I don't
especially
remember
in
seeing
first
you there though.
especially in first year. And then I think from second year, what I was doing was I'll stay over for a while and then study for a while. Then I go to the room. But I study. I found that I study better at in my room. Because I found that when I sit down for long periods in the study room, in fact, the distance from where my hostel was to the faculty, by the time I get there, I'm tired. And you'd have eaten too, and it was a bit, exactly.
I see.
So I tried that a few times, but I realized, no, let me just be in the room and then try and study. But exams time, when the heat was on, you will find me in the study room. Yeah.
So basically, we should all try and find out how best we are able to study, and not just
find out what works for you.
Okay, that's good. So one other thing I would want to know is how you were able to combine the extracurricular activities with the academics and still manage to be on top. You were receiving awards for the extracurricular activities that you were in, and you were receiving awards all around best students. That is the award that you received as in terms of the academics. So how were you able to achieve success in both arms?
So I think that it comes down to your interest and your passion, right? You mentioned that you saw me give a talk somewhere. It was in 2015, I think. So there was this national writing competition for. It was for universities in Ghana, and the top 3 winners. I placed third. And interestingly, the first 2 guys were from medical school. So So Michael and Samuel, you realize that when you discover what you are good at and what you enjoy doing, it comes easily to you, and you're able to hone it, you know. So after winning that competition, one of the judges invited us to GIJ to give a talk on creative writing. Yeah. So those were the things, and it's interesting because even as I was still a student. I was in third year, I think, and it was a proud moment for me as a student in KNUST being invited to give a guest lecture at GIJ, the Ghana Institute of Journalism. So those were some of the motivating things. And when you allocate time to the things that you need to do, you need to stick to it. And you need to plan your life as well. Know what you are doing at what time, and then stick to it. Because if you don't, the tendency is to spend too much time on one thing to the neglect of the other. And then you don't want that as well. There has to be a balance. So you need to plan, and then you need to stick to your plan.
Good. Thanks a lot for the advice. Before we end, I want to ask this question for the sake of those who are still in school or those who are yet to even start pharmacy school. Are there any things that you think they should do currently so that it will adequately prepare them for their life after school?
Yes, I think that they should. So it's two things, right? They should not just pass through the school. Okay. It is very easy to just, hey, I have assignments to do, I have reports to write. Okay, when is it due? It's due on this date. Then I'll start working on it the day before. I think that the skills that you learn in school are the same thing that you use in the work of the life of what am I saying? The world of work, right? Yeah. So Michael Jordan made a statement that, well, people say that you should practice, right? You should practice some things. If you practice a throw 10,000 times and you practice it the wrong way, it means that you have only perfected the wrong way of doing that thing. You know? So make sure that you do the right thing, and then be deliberate about it. Learn how to plan your schedule, because the way you plan your life as a student is the same way you plan your life as a worker. And if you have the wrong habits, then it will stick with you for the rest of your life. That's the first thing I want to tell the students out there. So know where you want to find yourself, and then make sure that you develop the habits that would aid you to get there. Secondly, you should get a mentor. So if you want to go into research, then you should probably maybe not somebody in the same field that you want to go into. In fact, as a student, the likelihood that you know exactly what field you want to research into is not high, you know. But at least if you are understudying someone, then you can discover many things that will point you in the direction that you end up with. And in this vein, I would like to say a big thank you to the Faculty of Pharmacy, KNUST, for the elective modules that they came up with for us to choose from. So I think in your fifth year, you are supposed to choose an elective, whether pharmacy or pharma marketing or hospital pharmacy or research and academia or industrial pharmacy, right? And my two electives were in pharma marketing and then community pharmacy. And needless to say, I understudied one senior rep with MEC, and he taught me a lot. And interestingly, now we work as colleagues in the same industry, right?
I see.
So it's really a good initiative by faculty, but as an individual, that might not be enough, you know, because maybe you wanted to go into pharma marketing elective, but you didn't get a slot. So then what do? You can take your own initiative and then find someone, attach yourself to them, try and learn as much as possible. And that is also a way of networking. You know, don't leave things to chance and then try and get a good grade and you think that manna will fall on your laps. The good grades are not enough, you know. And when I tell people this, when I tell the young ones this, they feel that it's because I had good grades that I'm saying this. No, you find out the hard way that it's not only about your grades. In fact, yeah, exactly. In fact, you need your network matters more than your grades. For you to even hear of, not all job openings are advertised.
Yes, that's true.
Some are by referral, and recently one of my mentees got a job offer just by referral. So if you don't make sure to build a network and align yourself in such a way that opportunities will be known to you as and when they come up, you are limiting yourself greatly. And then finally, I think that the the young ones or students should do more and be more deliberate about their IT and their research skills, right? Because I feel that there's more out there that pharmacy students can take advantage of, you know, aside the traditional community and hospital pharmacy that we all know. It seems most of us don't know about research or I don't know. But I think that there is more that can be done to push more pharmacists into research, and the impact will be felt strongly because these are people who are interfacing with so many patients, and we get to know a lot of public health issues that need to be researched into, but we don't do it. You know, I feel that more can be done in that direction, and unless we equip ourselves for it, it will continue to be an unmet need for the general population. And so, just to summarize, students should know what they are interested in and then develop the skills for it, one. Then two, students should try and get mentorship, for the fields that they have interest in. And then students should try and look into research as a career path because it's important to us as a nation, and then it can also be very fulfilling as a career path. So that is the advice that I give to.
Wow.
those yeah.
These are seriously great advice. One, with even the research, recently when the pandemic came up, a
Yeah,
number of people were now asking, where are our pharmacists? People
yeah,
are busily researching into how to get a vaccine for the management or for the treatment of the pandemic. Where are our pharmacists? These were questions that
yeah,
people were asking. Then also with
yeah,
the IT skills, one thing I've come to realize is I have been deliberate enough about studying IT, and almost
yeah,
every time I get lots of opportunities just because of my IT knowledge, even in the pharmaceutical companies or hospitals that I find myself, even currently where I am working, you realize that I do a lot of things not because of my pharmacy knowledge, but because of my IT skills. I am being called into meetings that ideally I'm not supposed to be in there. So I agree with you so much when you say that they should pick up these sort of skills. Then with the
yeah, yeah,
mentorship too, I totally agree with that. I think I've also had a share of my sort of mentorship where I have people that I speak to anytime. Even with, let's say, this particular show that I've started, I didn't start
yeah.
it all by myself. I had to speak to people. It was people who encouraged me and even how to go about it. Suggestions came from above. That is the people who are mentoring
Awesome.
me. So I
Yeah,
totally agree with you on these ones. And I am
awesome.
very grateful for your time. I thank you for the notes of knowledge that you have shared with my audience today. And I hope that they will all learn from these things that you have said. And together we'll all raise the face of pharmacy to the world. Thank you so much
So,
for your
so,
time. But if
yeah.
before you go, if there was anything I didn't ask or anything you'd want to say at all, this is the time you can just say it and we end.
I think I've said all that I need to say, but the last thing that I would like to mention is that those of us already in the workforce know the gaps that are yet to be filled.
Okay,
For
okay,
example, personally, there was a lot that I had to unlearn and then relearn.
okay,
When I started working. So I think that we should find a way of or find ways of going back to school to to enlighten those who are there. Not
I
everybody
see.
will listen, but
Okay,
at least if 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 you are in school, you have a lot of time, to work on things that you need to work on before you get out of school,
yeah.
right? So, for example, if you are into pharma marketing,
Mhm.
I think there should be a way of going back. Maybe the professional group for pharmaceutical companies,
Okay,
should find ways of going back. The professional groups for research and academia should find ways, community, industry, we should
okay,
not just focus on ourselves, right? We should think about the upcoming generation because
okay.
they should be better than we are. And I am still very young, but I have a lot of plans to at least the little that I've learned so far to go back
Mhm.
and then impart
Okay,
those
okay.
who are coming up. I was
Okay.
thinking that, so is there any or are there people in community who are studying the effect of the pandemic
Mhm.
on purchases or patient behavior? Or
Okay, okay.
because I was wondering, the the patients who have chronic conditions like
Mhm.
hypertension,
Yeah.
diabetes, before the lockdown, how was their purchase like? And
Mm.
then during the lockdown, how has it been? After, how has it been?
Okay.
And these are things that you look at with data, right? And there are very interesting things that we can easily investigate and research into if we have the necessary skills. And if we have those skills ourselves, then we can go back and then teach the younger ones, right?
Yeah.
So that we get to a certain standard where the impact of pharmacy practice will be strongly felt by the entire nation. So we have a lot to do both on ourselves and then on the younger generation. And I think that just leaving them to go to pharmacy school is not enough, right? Because there's just so much that the pharmacy school can teach them, but there's way more beyond that. So that is my last word, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity once again. And I hope to see this show move from grace to grace and continue doing the great work. You will be rewarded for it, not in heaven, but on earth.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. So, viewers, here we come to the end of this particular interview. I hope you really enjoyed it and you have learned a lot from this. If you are yet to subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button now to subscribe and look forward to new episodes almost every week. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.